Okay, Jai Jai Sri Harivansh.
Jai Jai Sri
Um,
Harivansh, Sri Harivansh.
Welcome both of you to another session of Sri Harivansh Kripa, Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhu's Grace. So today we'll just have a short question and answer session. Some of the other bhaktas, they've sent some questions to me. And if you feel like you want to ask different ones and also any follow-up questions, then feel free. And then in a few days' time, we're gonna have some really juicy satsang, the next part of Shringar Sabha Mandal, which I've been teasing Demian Ji about recently, but it's very sweet and he's very enthusiastic to hear soon rather than later. So this is the quality of devotees, you want to drink the rest quickly. So we have to wait a little bit. So okay, so just a quick Mangalacharan in praise of Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji and Sri Radha Vallabh Shri Premi Rasika Ananyani Shiromani Ke Chhatrapati Maharaj Shri Harivansh Chandra Maha Madhura Premamrita Sar Rasa Savapan Chakilo Paramarasilo Hasilo Sakalavataran Ko Avatari Sarvopari Virajaman Shri Harivanshi Shri Vanshi Sakhi Shri Lalitadik Sakhin ki Sir Mor Shri Ladli ki Pyari Sakhi Chin Ek न हो तन न्यारी पहरे कल झूमक सारी जाके चरण कमल पर शीस नित प्रति दरत छैल छबीलो लाल बिहारी परम रसीली हसीली मंजल सुबावनी श्री दंपति की अति हितकारी ओ मंजुल सुबावनी श्री दंपति की अति हितकारी ऐसे श्री व्यासनंदनो जयति ऐसे श्री व्यासनंदनो जयति ऐसे श्री व्यासनंदनो जयति श्री वृंदावन नरेश निकुंज बिहारी परमरसीले हसीले छैल छबीले चिकनय मन मोहने ऐसे श्री राधा वल्लभो जयति ऐसे श्री राधा वल्लभो जयति ऐसे श्री राधा वल्लभो जयति श्री राधा वल्लभ श्री हरिवंश.
Sri Harivansh.
It's very beautiful. Even these Mangalacharans actually, the more I recite them, they're just like really exciting. And I have to translate some of them. Basically, I just want to quickly tell because these are so special. So this is Shri Hit Ananya Aliji's Vani. Don't be fooled by the simple cover. The book is never judged by the cover, and this is the number one proof of this Vani. It's so simple. It's like okay, but this what's inside is pure nectar. It's like it's definitely on the same level of Hiddur Das Ji Maharaj's Vani. So amazing. And what's very special about this is in the beginning of every Vani that he wrote, every Lila he wrote from his Anubhav, his experience, he does a Jay Dwani. He does a proclamation of the glories of both Sri Harivansh, a very long one every time, and then of Radha Vallabh Lal. And each one that he wrote before the Vani, it's not like a full Mangalacharya, it's like a Jay Dwani. It's like a victory, like a victory glorification speech or proclamation. And he says such the sweetest names in there. It's like so beautiful. Like it's Sri Harivansh's roop as an acharya, Sri Harivansh's roop as a sakhi, and there's so many nice, flavorful descriptions of him as a sakhi, like Vanshi sakhi, Sakhi Chena Hot Nanyari, but this is the Sakhi that never is separate from Shama Sham. She wears this, she wears that. And then he always says things like, um, this Sakhi's lotus feet are always being prayed to by Lal Bihari, by Sham Sundar. But he uses slightly different, like if someone reads it, he uses slightly different wording in each one, so he keeps it fresh. So the theme is always similar, but he uses slight wording which always makes it like more astonishing. So it's one of my favorite things. And sometimes when I don't have time to recite the whole Vani that comes after, I just recite my type of Shraddha is this, but I just recite the Jaydwani in the beginning, and I feel like this is like reciting the whole Vani. Sometimes I this is like, especially like if I'm offering the Rajbhog, if I haven't got time to recite the 10 pages describing Shama Sham's meal, then I just describe the Jaydoni, and in my heart, then I just pray that this is the same as reciting it for them, on occasion. So we'll go to the questions now. Do you have any questions which, because I know you, Didi, you didn't send any questions to me. Did you have any? Do you have any questions you would like to ask? Maybe a spontaneous one.
Just, I think you did mention about birds and sakhis. They are actually birds.
Oh
And
yes.
Ah,
Okay, okay. I'll tell something. I'll tell something. Not too much, but I'll tell a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So in there's you would have seen that I posted a description from Kishori Sharan Aliji Maharaj and other Rasikacharyas that there's four types of sakhis. And so when it comes into the category of Kinkiri, he also Kishori Ji Maharaj he puts he says that even the birds they have Ali Bhav, so they have Sakhi Bhav. So normally this would be very a very strange thing to say that the birds, it's just the bird has maybe Dasya Bhav or just it's just a bird. So how has the bird got Sakhi Bhav? Because generally the concept is that it has to be Tad Anurup. Basically, this Tad Anurup means that the Bhav needs to be corresponding to the form of the parikar of the associate. And actually, Rupa Goswami, if you look in his Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, he actually makes some interesting points in some cases on this, where he says sometimes when there is an inappropriate person with an inappropriate bhav in some poetry, he says this is a rasabas. This is
yes.
only a semblance of ras. This is not real ras. And he gives a very funny example. He gives an example of if there was a play where there was some old women, old gopis, and they had Madhurya Bhav for Krishna. Then he said this would be like a rasabas, because then the roop is not befitting
different
for.
rasas are.
Yes, he says this would be a rasabas. So it has to be according to the roop, the bhav. So this is the general description. But even Shil Rupa Goswami Pad, in his Ujjwal Neelamani and his Radha Ganodesh Deepika, which is a granth which describes the different types of associates in the Braj Lila as well, he says how Subal Sakha, so in Radha Krishna Gandesh Deepika, he says Subal Sakha, who has a male form externally, that he has Sakhi Bhav. Then in Bhakti Rasamrita, in Ujjwal Neelmani, he says that the Priya Narma Sakhas, so there's many different types of Sakhas, and he says that the Priya Narma Sakhas, they also, some can have this Sakhi Bhav. So So he mentions the point that if someone's male feelings or the feelings of identification as a male in the Lila is covered over, and specifically they are helping in the union, the Madhuryamay union of Shama Sham, then they can be said to have Sakhi Bhav. So similarly, these birds, as we'll hear in the next the next session of Shringar Sabha Mandal, you'll see that there are some birds who are helping in the union of Shama Sham and increasing their Madhurya Prem experience. There's the two examples I'm going to give in the next session is that there is one bird, a Mena Pakshi, a Mena bird, a certain type of variety of bird, and this one is when they're having Raj Bhog Lila, so the midday meal, this bird gets involved and then creates all sorts of your very beautiful, amusing, amusing plays when Shama Shama are eating, and this increases their prem and also increases the joy and the laughter and the fun. And then in another Leela of Ananya Aliji Maharaj, his Vani, it's called Maina Mantra Mohini Leela. And in this Leela, it's about 15 pages long. And in the Leela, it's all about the bird and how this golden bird. Today I've been sending Dimi and G pictures of golden birds all day today because I've been so absorbed in this Leela myself today in the morning. But then I kept sending him pictures of golden birds, and he was curious what's going on. What's this bird I'm talking? Why am I sending him pictures of golden birds today? So then I was telling him, oh, you have to wait. So this bird is like a very, I'll just call it a magical bird for now. It's a very mysterious bird who is like a plaything in Kishoriji's hand, but through it being a toy in Kishoriji's hand, she then makes Lalji become into a toy that's completely under her control. And so many different types of Leela Kotak, so many different amusing, Vichitra, very amazing Leelas take place, which you can just meditate on a few lines of that, and it's just like, you can be lost in that, meditating for a long time. So that's how this birds can be also Sakibhav if they are supporting the union specifically of Shama Sham and increasing their Madhurya Rasmai Prem Leelas.
Okay, that is because they are participating in directly in the Madhurya Lilas. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Exactly, they're active participants in that.
Yeah, Norma Sakas, like Subal, I think, is one of them.
Yes, Subal.
He participated in the Madhuryas, arranging the encounters and preparing the play. Also, they have kunshas, but they give kunshas to the Manjaris in Gaudiya Vaishnavism.
Yeah, exactly.
But they never stay when Sri Shama Shama are together.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. They don't look through the gaps in the kunj, the chidra, the randra, the gaps. They don't have the adhikar to look through, but they still have some participation in Vraj Leela. Like for example, Rupa Goswami makes a statement in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu where he makes a sort of a slight exaggeration. It's called Atishayokti in poetry. It means exaggeration, but it's to glorify. So he says, what seva is Subal Sakha not capable of doing? So it's kind of, then someone might get the idea, oh, he's capable of doing everything. But then Jiva Goswami Pad, in his commentary to that verse, he says, no, we shouldn't understand it to the full extent. It's a glorification of Subal Sakha. And then he says he has like the translation I'm seeing is that he has like a mechanical fan of some sort. He's not fanning directly with his hands, but he has a mechanical fan outside. It's such a strong fan that he's still fanning Shama Sham while they're in the Nikunj, but he's not like witnessing it. You remember this, I think? So yeah.
I have read that, yes.
Okay. Good. Then I know. If he's read, then I know I'm not wrong. Perfect. Tika. So yeah, this is the meaning of the birds having Sakhi Bhav. So sub Sagitt. And also very interesting, some of the birds also, when Shama Sham have Holy Lila and also other games like some sort of board games, Shatranj, Chaucer, and so on. Sometimes different birds and different animals in Vrindavan they take the side of either Sham or Shama, and then they're like this. And even the Sakhis themselves actually, just for that, just for the Leela, just for the play, even though all the Sakhis are Radha Nisht and Radha Sneha, they have Radha Charan Pradanta, when it comes
But
to the Leela,
yes,
yeah, only
just
that time.
their vibe doesn't change at all.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
for the
yeah, just for the fun. So otherwise it would be unfair for Lalji to be on one side, you know? So they have to have like this. This is a good question.
I I have also read one of the Leela, which I can remember now. It's about the morning Leela when the birds come in the morning,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and first they start talking about like how it's the time for them to wake up and like things like that.
yeah. Mm.
And one bird is speaking with another one. I think that Leela I read in Kelly Kunj or Hari Kelly, something like that. It's
Oh.
you know that Radhesham Bankaji from, he
Yeah.
was one of the saint from Bhaiji Maharaj
Yeah,
Parikar.
yeah, I thought so when you said that. Yeah, yeah. It was you mean uh Goenka ji,
Galkeli, I think.
Goenka ji Maharaj. I forget his name now.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He's like, yeah. I know who
no,
you mean.
Radhesham Bankaji.
Oh, okay, okay. This one I don't know.
He wrote some book also about some Leelas. So once I read a couple of the
Acha,
Leelas
acha,
from
acha.
there also.
Hey, Sri
Anyway,
Harivansh.
let's continue
Radhe
with the
Shyam.
topic which we were
Welcome.
already discussing.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
So,
Sridhar
oh, that's good.
Harivansh.
Well, you're here now, so we can go to your question straight away. So let's bring that up. I'm just gonna bring that up here. Yeah, I can answer that one a little later. And then you asked me. Ah, okay. I'm just gonna. Your question was a little long, so I kind of made it a little concise. But if you have any need for clarification, Amanda, you can ask me. Okay. So the question was. You were explaining that Radha Vallabhis are meditating on the Nitya Vihar Leela, while Gaudiya Vaishnavas are meditating on Braj Leela. If this is put in the concept of Aprakat and Prakat Leela, would it be explained like this? And then so you went into a bit of an explanation. Um, I'll just quickly explain, and then if you have any more questions, feel free. So when it comes to Radha Vallabh Sampradaya and also the other Nitya Vihar Sampradayas, Haridasis, Nimbark, and also another smaller one called Shuk Sampradaya, they're all worshipping in Nitya Vihar. So we only focus on the eternal pastimes, the Nitya Lila. So you're correct there. We don't. For us, Sri Sevakji Maharaj in his Sevak Vani has said that the Bhagavatam is to be studied primarily before one takes Diksha, just so that one gets an understanding of what is Vraj, what is Vedant, what is, all the general things, Atma, Jiva, Bhagwan, and the relationship between both, all the general philosophical, theological points. And then he says,
Tattva.
after that was, yes, that was Siddhant. Then after that, he says, then it's basically, then you just Dare Dharma Harivanshiko. Right, then you just follow the dharma of Sri Harivansh. Sude chalo apane dharma. Right, you just go straight to the dharma, the path of Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. No problem, no looking too much here and there now, or not at all actually. Completely Ananya Bhav, exclusive. And so this is our mood. When it comes to because you mentioned the Gaudiya, so in the Gaudiya they also relish the Bhagavatam very much so, even after Diksha. This is why Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Srinath Chakravarti, who is the disciple of Advaita Acharya. They all wrote commentaries to the Bhagavatam, and they are like it's very still regularly relished. And even the acharyas later, they wrote on the Prakat Lila, the bomb Lila that takes place in Vraj, which has mixture of things like the demons coming and making it, trying to disturb the Lila and so on. But they also ultimately they also have Nitya Lila texts such as Sri Govinda Lilamrit by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, and then they also have Krishnanik Komadi by Kavi Karnapur, Krishna Bhavanamrit by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and so on. So they ultimately do meditate on the Nitya Lila as well, but they still have a lot of still utsavas and focus on the Leelas taking place in the manifest Vraj, the Vraj that manifest on Earth 5,000 odd years ago in Dwapar Yuga. So did you have any more questions about that, you or anyone else?
There's no questions. I have also
some input.
Well, me yesterday about my question on WhatsApp, but maybe we can repeat the question. I was asking you about the Tadhyatma, the connection of Sahacharis with Sri Shamasham. Well, that's the difference between the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. They have, something.
It's okay, I can speak openly, because even if someone then comes to say to me, where is the proof? I am happy to show the proof. And I am very neutral, and I am always respectful of every sampradaya. So if they don't agree with me, then I can also discuss with them nicely. Not debate, but discuss. But yeah, you can say your question. Oh, no. Did you finish yours, Amanda? Is it okay, or did you want to clear that up?
Yes, yes, it's okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Bhai. See if you can remember the question.
And I want to know if when Sahacharis heard about the Lila inside the Nikunja from the lotus mouth of Sri Hitsajani, they can feel all what Hitsajani was doing with Sri Shamasham and what Sri Shamasham is feeling too.
Okay. So basically the concept here is that there's some passages in the Leelas where the other Sahacharis, the other Sakhis are not present, and only Shama Sham and Hit Sajani are present at the time in the Nikunj. So there are Leelas where it's just those three, and the Sakhis are they can either be looking for the gaps but they're not inside, or like in another one Vani, Paricharya Vilas Lila, in there it mentions how this other Sakhis go to take snan, they go to take bath, and during that time Shama Sham and Hit Sajani are still, there's some Leela going on, and they're not seeing this. But then when in the later on Shama Sham come and Hit Sajani's with them, they're all very excited to know what was it that you saw, like you tell us please. So Hit Sajani is describing the different Leelas that she experienced while they were not present, but also she tells them Leelas, she describes Leelas even when they were present. So sometimes they're actually present, there's Leelas going on, but later they're asking what happened. So, and the reason for that is because she is so deeply connected to them that she understands, even if they're watching and they're watching, and Hit Sajani is watching and the other Sakhis are watching, still they're not fully able to understand the various subtle hav and bhavs, the subtle expressions, subtle emotions that are being expressed by Shama Sham. But Hit Sajani has to explain it to them later. Oh, do you remember when Kishoriji did this? And Sham Sundar did this other gesture and other expression. This was what was going on in his heart and her heart. So many times this goes on as well. So what Demon Baya is asking is, like with the Manjaris in the Gaudiya Lila, they have a certain sense of Tadatmaya. So this is a feeling of oneness with Sri Radha. And then the idea is that they feel all that she feels, like this mood. Now, with us, there may be some experience that, obviously, when Hitsajani is explaining the Leelas to the Sakhis, they do experience it as well, even if they either were present and didn't understand fully, or they did understand, or they weren't present, of course. So they do get a divine experience from it, because Hitsajani's words are not like ordinary words, they are absolute, and they are made of rus, because everything's made of rus. So when she explains to them, it's like direct experience of rus. It's not that they have to conceptualize the words and then they think of something and then some idea comes, but it's like a direct experience of rus to them. And then the other point that was being made is that the one thing that Gurudev once said, why this Tadatmaya is not so much present, this feeling of oneness between the Sahacharis and Sri Radha, is that if this oneness becomes too much, like if it becomes too intense, then the other feeling can come in the heart where, just as Radha, she wants to do vihar, meet directly with Krishna, then this feeling in the heart can also come in the hearts of the Sahacharis. So there is like a limit to the extent of oneness, because if they become too much one with Priyaji, then also the desire to meet with Krishna in the Kunj will come. You see? So there has to be a limit to this sense of oneness. It can't be many like devotees in the Gaudiya Sampradaya often say, oh, no, she's completely one. The Manjaris are completely one in heart. And then I have to ask them, but then wouldn't this happen? So then they often sort of then, explain a little bit different. So we have to understand that it's not completely one. The Manjaris can't be also completely one, otherwise they will also have the desire to meet with Krishna. And then there was another interesting point that something we had discovered over the last few months, and that is that another important difference between the Sahachari of the Radha Vallabh Sampradaya and the Manjari of the Gaudiya is that even though the Sahachari never wants to meet with Krishna, and also Krishna never wants to meet with them, so therefore they never have a meeting of any sort whatsoever. The difference if you look at the Acharya's Vanis of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, especially Krishna Bhavanamrit, it's the chapter of Madhupan Lila, where they're drinking the honey wine. So in there, it's a very beautiful Lila, where Shyam Sundar entices the Manjaris to meet and so on, and there is a factual meeting of Shyam Sundar and the Manjaris in this Krishna Bhavanamrit. I believe it's chapter 13. And even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that in his commentaries to Ujjwal Neelamani, that Shri Rupa Manjari has a relationship like a Parikya Nayaka, like she's married to someone else and she has still meeting with Krishna. Although this is generally played down by the popular conception of Manjari Bhav, this is still actually in the original texts. So even though generally it's not generally too much accepted or cultured, but big acharyas such as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and and also
Raghunath Goswami also writes something like that.
Yeah, so in Vilapko Samanjali, the first verse, there's a verse where Rati Manjari, who is Raghunath Das Goswami's Manjari Swarup, he says to Rupa Manjari, oh, your husband is not present, but still you have a bite from a very sweet cuckoo bird on your lip. How is this possible? So it's actually, the idea is that Krishna sometimes does meet with Rupa Manjari like this. It's very rare, but it does happen. And it's not due to Tadatmaya. It's not due to the feeling that this is the main point, but it's not due to the fact that they have feeling so much oneness with Radha that the Rati Chin, the different marks come on the body. That also happens, but there is also a direct meeting of them on occasion. And this is, if you look at the commentaries of Sri Premanand Prabhuji of Radhe Kunj, if you check, I can show you on Advaita Das Ji's blog. He's a traditional Gaudiya Vaishnav initiated in the Parampara of Advaitacharya, and also Prem Prayojan, who is a very famous speaker as well. Him and many other Goswamis, Radhakarnath Goswami, Madhusudan Tattva Vachaspati. I've read their commentaries or some parts of the commentaries, and they also explain this. So this is something like some differences between the bhav. You wanted to ask more on that?
I think you respond more than I was expecting, because you resolved this question of the Tadatma.
Yeah.
The Manjaris have this relation with Krishna because they are connected like one with Sri Sri. So they have that feeling of being with Krishna.
Yeah.
Sri Lalshi. Not the Sahacharis. Sahacharis don't allow this. That doesn't exist.
No. This idea of meeting with Krishna is like completely impossible. And also for the Krishna too, Krishna will not do it either. He's not interested in them one bit in a Madhurya-may way. He has affection for them, very love and affection for them, and also very much gratitude for them. This is why earlier, before you came, Amanda, I was reciting a Mangalacharan or a glorification, and in there I was just stressing the point that Shyam Sundar is always falling at the feet of the Sahacharis due to gratitude, and also because he knows if I do this, then I will be able to meet with Radha very nicely, and they'll make nice arrangements. So it's like that too, but he also feels very grateful to them as well. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Just a comment.
Oh,
go ahead. Just a comment about Sahacharis. My understanding is also it's always only about Shama Sham, just for trying to arrange things or doing things only for Shama Sham. It's nothing like for own personal pleasure or kind of personal. It's only all about Shama Sham. Even sometimes Shama Sham, maybe it's like that also. They are not even aware that how the arrangements have been done by Sahacharis. They coordinate in such a way that they are present, but they become so invisible as well at the same time.
Yeah.
That because they want them to completely enjoy the be in the for the togetherness Lila, This is my understanding.
That's good understanding.
Charan Prabhu, could you kindly say again, where is it written about the meetings of the Manjari with Krishna?
This is in Sri Krishna Bhavanamrit by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it's chapter 13, which is the Lila, which is called Madhupan Lila, which basically means the Lila of drinking the honey wine, the wine made of honey. And it's just in the last few verses, I think 32 to 37. And I know this not because I'm a very great genius and remembers all these things. It's because I very specifically had these translated a month or so ago from Bengali and Sanskrit with many commentaries, because I was very curious to understand the different the bhavs behind this and confirm my understanding. And it was very much strongly confirmed when someone translated all the commentaries. And I also can understand some Bengali, so I could pick up what the commentary said very easily as well. So yeah, I can share those with you guys at some point.
And does it mention especially the Manjaris, or because I've heard that sometimes the gopis would do things like this, but I always was like told them the Manjaris they would never do this, never.
They no, they have. The Manjaris are not very interested at all in doing this. So Krishna, by deceit and by trickery, then he makes it happen. And any contact with Krishna is ultimately blissful. So even though they are not interested one bit, when it does happen, then Krishna experiences, but the Manjaris do experience Ananda. And there was also one other personality who confirmed this with me, and that is Bhakti Sarvasva Govinda Maharaj, who is like an expert in Shringaras of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And I met him in Radhakund some weeks ago. So he also confirmed that this takes place as well. So I went to question a few Gaudiyas whether this is correct, and I was also going to present my points to them. But before I even presented my points, in case they were ready to say no, they said, yes, this is there, but we don't like to, it's not to be spoken too much. So yeah, I'll see how much I have to make this video available, but definitely it's there, and I can show you the passages at some point.
So this brings me to another question. Can I ask a spontaneous question?
Yeah, no problem.
Because when I hear something like this, for me, immediately there comes a feeling like no, I don't like this. I don't like to hear this. I don't like this Krishna who is doing this. It's just there. And then what comes to my mind often is this just a material concept that, I also, as a woman, I don't like to be cheated on, or, I want a husband that doesn't go to other women or something. So it's like a material concept that I just put onto the eternal Lila.
Yeah.
Or, how can I know, is this just a material concept, or is this my soul speaking to me, telling me, look, this is not your path. Your path is somewhere else, where there is, for example, Nitya Vihar. For me, this just feels like this is the right thing, But I don't know how to see if this is, where is this coming from? What is the motivation behind it?
I think it can be seen as a mixture of both. I think definitely we should try to understand, once we understand the tattva and the bhavs between the sakhis in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, but actually it's Kishoriji's desire herself. If you see Krishna Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says in there that Kishoriji is so magnanimous that she's not keeping Krishna to herself. So, and she knows Krishna likes to go around. So, okay, then she likes to arrange the meetings. And when they meet together, it's said as a statement, it's said as a glorification, it said then she gets thousands of times more happiness than if she were to meet with Krishna directly herself. So this is Kishoriji's udarta, her generosity. And also she knows that Krishna in that Leela, anyways, he's not one-pointed. That's just his svabhav, his nature. We shouldn't see fault in him, because ultimately, if we look from a tattva perspective, Krishna is, from the Bhagavatam and other texts, it's saying all the rest, like in the conception of Gaudiya, is that they're just his Shaktis. So you cannot give fault for someone for dancing with their shadow, or because it's just a part of him, the gopis and the sakhis and so on. Or if you were to make fault with someone for scratching their elbow, it's like it's just a part of me. So for me, making connection with this elbow and that one, I'm not cheating on this elbow if I touch this one, because it's all part of my sarup. So similarly, Krishna is like this. And even if there's sometimes some jealousy manifestation, man and so on, when you read like the works of Rupa Goswami and so on, you'll see that actually there is some excitement to it, there is some rust to it. So we should not have a material conception, like that's for sure. But the other point is that I think you have been blessed by Nitya Viharas. You're getting some taste in it. Something is sprouted at the very least. At the very least, some sprout is there. And you know how much the plant has grown. So you know that you have some sort of nishta in this other Krishna, this other bhav. And so when you hear Leelas which are contrary to your very own Shama Sham, then it's not like giving you joy, it's not nourishing you. So I think we should respect and understand other Leelas as being pure and wonderful, but just like, this is very nice, but I give respects from far away. Like that. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm just seeing if anyone wanted to say something, but let's see. There was another question.
In a personal experience, sorry, I can say something to this.
Yeah.
In a personal experience, when I heard about this relation of the Manjaris with Sri Laos, also shocks me a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was following for several years Gaudiya Lila. Yeah, the heart, it fixed my heart completely. And I cannot tolerate, because this Sri Lalshi finding in how can I say this, finding Ras in not directly with the roots, because Radha is the root of his nectar. Why he have to go to another place?
Yeah. This is the thing. This is the thing, because
this concept of Ananya Brahmar, of Krishna being a bee, completely dedicated to the lotus face, the lotus face of Sriji. This is the concept that I keep for me. I don't look anything else. That's all. That's all for me. I'm very grateful with this path, to find this path, to this Sri Harivansh Kripa on us, to show in this path.
Yeah, it's true, because the thing is, the concept is that all the different nayakas, all the different heroines and their bhavs, they're all present in Shriji herself. And so our idea is then that if all the flavors, all the bhavs, all the nayakas are present in Shriji herself, then there's no need for Krishna to go elsewhere to taste these things. The other argument that will be made from the other side is that all the other sakhis and so on are kaya vyuha manifestations. They are the bodily manifestations, emanations of Shriji herself. So therefore there is no fault in Krishna going to them. This is also fine, and this is a tattvic understanding. This is a tattva understanding, but from the Lila perspective, because Krishna is not Narayan or Bhagwan in the Lila, he does not know that the other sakhis, like when he goes to Chandravali or Padma, Saibya, or any other heroine, the Nayaka, to meet her, he does not have the conception that, oh, this is just another form of Radha, so my Radha Nishta will not be broken if I go and meet another heroine, another Nayaka. So you can't, for him in his heart, he is not Radha Nisht. So for us, when we use the words Radha Raman or Radha Vallabh, we have a different meaning. In other sampradayas, the meaning is that Radha is prominent, is his favorite. So Radha is his favorite, but for us, it means only Radha is his. So there's a difference. So there's a difference between favorite and only. So we have the bhav of only Radha is his beloved. So this is the important difference. So it's very important to bring that up.
Jai.
Sri Harivansh. I'm just looking at another. Oh, we'll go to Mark G's question. I found this very interesting, actually. He said, do the Sahacharis actually have a personal and direct relationship with Yugal Sarkar, or is their relationship an indirect one where they are only arranging things for Yugal Sarkar, what are the thoughts and feelings of Yugal Sarkar towards the Sahacharis? So it's a very interesting one. That do the Sakhis also have a direct relationship with them? Like, we may have some friends who we wish well for, but we have like a separate relationship with maybe, whoever, like the girl or the boy, separate to their relationship. So he was wondering, do we have some sort of other relation as well? This is I have to give a nuanced response to this, because first of all, one needs to understand what are the Sakhis and Tattva. So in one work, Keli Kalol, this is Radha Vallabhi Mahatma's work. I've actually also translated parts of this. I think I've shared this in Hit Ali Sangar. So it explains that the Sakhis by Tattva are, if Sham Sundar is the night and Kishoriji is the day, then the Sakhis are that time in between the twilight, the Sandhya. So when it's not night or day, they are that tattva in between. So they exist in that tattva in between. So that means that their existence is to unite the day and the night. They just by their whole swarup. That's why actually one of the names of Hit Sajani, Hit Sakhi has many names, Sri Harivansh's Sarup, Sakhi Sarup. And one of the names, which Meethaji is also one Rasikacharya. In his Vani, he says Sandhi Saheli or Sandhi Sakhi. Sandhi meaning that she's the twilight Sakhi, the one who unites the day and the night. So this is the meaning behind it. So the idea is that actually their whole purpose, their whole desire is only to unite Shama Sham and assist in their Prem-may Leelas. But we shouldn't misunderstand this, because someone will say then, oh, what about their feelings and what about their needs? But their needs are the needs of Shama Sham. They exist solely for Priya Pritam's joys. And Priya Pritam also know this point, so therefore, why would they disturb them for something else? Because this is why Priyaji in the Nitya Vihar, she does not say, oh, I'll also let my Sakhis have some fun with Lalji. So she's magnanimous in a different way. In the Gaudiya Vihar, in the Gaudiya Nitya Leela, it's basically that she's magnanimous because she wants to share her beloved Lalji with the other Sakhis. And the magnanimity, the udarta, the compassion in this Leela is that she will not do this. One, because Lalji is not going to agree. And two, because the Sakhis just don't have that desire anyways. There are some very sweet Leelas, however, that we should understand that she still has great affection and also relationships with them, and so does Lalji. Like I mentioned earlier, Lalji has great gratitude for them, so he's always falling at their feet, begging them, speaking to them, and giving them also giving his tambul to them, giving his flower garlands to them. And these are all, by the way, already chewed by Kishoriji and worn by Kishoriji, so they're not his direct prashadi. And he's there was also where Kishoriji herself, she celebrates kind of like, you could say, like some birthdays of the Sakhis, something like a birthday, you can say. And I have one pad here. I'll just get this pad here where she describes just one moment. Here it is. Yep. There's one pad by Hit Bodhi ji. So this is not the Hit Bodhi Sakhi who wrote the Prem Ki Peed a couple of very recently, but another one before this. For those of you who are familiar with Bodhi Sakhi's Prem Ki Peed, so it's actually a very nice song which is sung around Sri Harivansh's appearance day, so his Prakatya. So the song is Fuli Fuli Radha Aju Mangal Gave, Fuli Fuli Radha Aj Mangal Gave. But Kishoriji's heart is like her joy in her heart is expanding fully, fully. Aju Mangala Gawe. But today, Kishoriji is singing the great, spacious glories of Hit Sajni and her birthday. And in those lines, she really expresses her love for Hit Sakhi here. She says, to Lalta Sakhi, she says, Hit sajani dekhe benu lalita ek palak muhi jug samajave. But oh Laltaju, that even just one moment without Hit Sajani, it feels like so many ages, so many yogas have passed. And if you look in the Ras Shastra, this is a symptom of someone having anurag for another person. Because if they feel, there's two things that happen, two ways of expressing this. There's one where in separation, even one nimesh, one moment it takes to blink an eye, it's called a nimesh, it's a time span. And they say in this one time span it takes to blink an eye, this nimesh, but it feels like many yogas have passed. So this is the separation bhav. And then the opposite side, it says that someone who has anurag, this deep flavor of love, that in meeting, even if they are together for millions and millions of years, it seems like we didn't meet. And there's so many leelas like this in Hidrudachi's Vani and Ananya Aliji's Vani, where Shama Shah's thinking, where did the night go? And even though they've been together for many kalpas, where did the night go? There's actually one Leela where they're only looking at each other. So a whole Granth was written just on Shama Sham looking into each other's eyes. And this takes place. Yes. You can explain a little bit?
Like even the eyes are looking at each other, but still it's not completely, the rasas are not still not feeling that it's completely filled with seeing even each other. Naina huna aghat. Aghat is a big word, like I always like it. Like drinking the nectar, but at the same time it's increasing the desire, more desire to see even more.
Yes, this actually Hidrudachi Maharaj in one of his vanis, he makes an interesting point. He says the type of union of Shama Sham, it's like a thirsty person wanting to drink water, but for some reason the water doesn't become a cause of quenching their thirst, but the water itself becomes thirst itself. So he says, then what can someone do? What can a thirsty person do when the water itself doesn't quench the thirst, but it increases the thirst? He goes, what can you do then? He makes this point, what can you do? Kya kijiye? He says, kya kijiye? What can be done when Priya Pritam's...
And just cry for that.
Prem is like this. You want to say something, Demian?
You got me with this, like, oh, so deep.
It's beautiful.
Very beautiful. This is the natural, sorry. This is Prem.
Yeah.
This is Ras. This is Ras. Adbud Ras. Always new. And they, well, I never heard that. I heard about the blink of the eyes, looking like a kalpa, but being together for a kalpa is like nothing for them. It's a new look. Like,
you'll see actually it's in all the Vanis everywhere. The Rasiks always throw this line, whether it's Hidrudachi Maharaj, whether it's Sri Harivansh, whether it's Ananya ji, Kalyan Pujari ji, all these different Rasiks, they actually throw this line in everywhere because it's very important for they're always experiencing that mood when they're writing the Vani. So they actually always, it's like ever present, this feeling of newness and the reasons for the newness. So that's why they're always expressing it. Now that you've heard it, I promise you, you will hear it again and again. Now you've got the Nitya Vihar ka chashma. This is a phrase they use, Gurudev use. He says, if you get the glasses of Nitya Vihar, then you can see. It's like you need to put the certain glasses on, then it's adjusted, and then you can see this everywhere. Then,
thank you.
No problem. We have much more left. So then, in this song, still continuing with Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhu's Appearance Day song, this is still showing the love that Priyaji has for the direct love that she has for the Sakhis. She says, Yame mo me antar nahi एक प्राण द्वय देह दिखावे याते मोको न्यारी जाने सो तो मेरे मन ही ना भावे. So she says, Yame mo me antar nahi. So she's speaking to Lalita Ju again, and she says, between me and Hit Sajani, there is no difference. She says, Ek pran, one life force, two bodies. So he says, this is one pran, but two bodies are appearing. So normally we see this again and again for Shama Sham, but this is also true for the Sakhis as well. Then she says, Yate moko nyari jane. So to mere man hi na bhave. But if someone sees me as different and Hit Sajani is different, then I do not like that person. She says it very strongly like this. She says, then this person does not, I don't feel so much affection for them then. Mani hi na bhave, then I don't like them, this mood. So she has this type of affection, for them. And I'm going to read something from a very sweet work of Sri Haridas Ji Maharaj to show another bhav, a little bit different, how Priya Pritam cares so much for the Sahacharis, the Sakhis. This is from Neha Manjari. Oh, were you saying something, Damien? Oh, okay, I think he's gone. Okay, that's okay. So it's Neha Manjari. And in this Neha Manjari, this is a work by Sri Haridas Ji Maharaj. And Neha Manjari means, Ne means love, Manjari means a bud. So this is basically him saying that I'm only expressing a bud, a small bud, a leaf of this prem. So it's okay, Reemin, you didn't miss anything. I was just saying that I'm just going to recite some verses from Ne Manjari of Haridas Ji Maharaj, which Ne means a bud of prem. So we're just going to describe something from this Lila. You can hear?
Sorry, I will have to go now.
Okay.
Maybe I connect in a few minutes.
Okay, no problem. The recording will be there. No problem.
Thank
Okay, Sri Harivansh. Okay, ooh, what's this? Okay, so in this Lila, it's also very sweet. So here, first of all, I won't recite too much of the Braj Bhasha. So first of all, what happens is that Kishoriji is there, and Kishoriji starts feeling, what is the love of Lalji for me? So she starts thinking very deeply about the prem that Sri Krishna Lalji has for her. So Kuvra prem jab man mein aayo. So this comes in their heart. Then her when we become very emotional, our throats become choked up, so we cannot speak anything more. The bhav comes to the throat and it stops our speech. So then Bachana Kishori kahne na payo, she becomes choked up. And then Bari hiyo atihi akulani piye kishore ke urla patani, that she becomes completely overwhelmed with this feeling that, oh, Lalji loves me so much. Like how fortunate I am to have such an eternal beloved. And when she thinks like this, her heart becomes so melted, and then she immediately embraces him like a great tigress. She doesn't wait for him. She just really just pounces on him. Oh, I think he's coming back. Then फिर गयो प्रेम दुहन परमाई अपनी अपनी सुधि बिसराई. This is very. These next few passages are very important to understand um, one type of prem experience, one type of separation, a very extraordinary type of separation which happens even when they're in meeting. So, फिर गयो प्रेम दुहन परमाई अपनी अपनी सुधि बिसराई. So then Shama Sham are in embrace. Priyaji has embraced Lalji to her heart, thinking, "Oh, he loves me so much. What did I do to get such a beloved as him?" And then apni apni sudhi bisarai. So then she forgets herself, and he forgets himself. So what this means is that they actually forget their own where they are, who they are, and so on. And what happens here is that Priyaji, she starts shouting out, she starts calling out, Piya Piya Priya Kehat Sukvari Reh Gaye Se Bariya Kavari Prema Nira Ura Anchal Bine Chitavatana Chakora Kine. So Kishoriji experiences a type of separation when the lovers are still united. This is called Prem Vaichitya. So some of you are familiar with the Ras Shastras, you'll know Prem Vaichitya is when there is an imagined separation. So the premis, the lovers are together, the beloveds are together, but they feel as though their beloved is gone. So Prem Vichitya. So Vichitya means like a absence of mind or a confusion or delusion. But because it's coming from Prem, it's not a material. Usually this can be, in this world, it would be something like someone who has amnesia or dementia, some mental issue like this. But this is why it's called Prem Vichitya. But it's actually due to it's a manifestation of Prem itself. So this Prem Vichitya causes Priyaji to say, Piya, Piya, kahan ho? That, kahan ho Piya? Where are you, my beloved? And in this way, even though she's embraced with him, Rehi gayi aisi bari akawari. But even though they were embracing, that's the main point. He's right there. And still, she's saying, Piya, Piya, kahan ho? Where are you? And at the same time, due to so much distress in separation, Prem Nir Ur Anchalabine, but her beautiful lotus eyes, even though we don't like to see Kishoriji in distress, so me even describing this, there's some uneasiness because I also don't like to describe Priyaji in distress, but this is part of some Leela, So Priyaji's eyes, still she's they're going down, they're like a fountain, like a stream, and they wet her anchal, her blouse, and Chitavata Naina Chakor Hekine. But the funny thing is, even though she's saying Piya Piya, where are you? It's like me saying, I'm looking at you right now like a chakor bird. So the chakor bird is that bird which is always looking at the moon, and they say that it drinks the rays of the moon, and that's the only thing that it eats and drinks. So it's always so much attracted to the moon. So it's like if I was looking into Demian's eyes and saying, Demian, where are you? Even though I'm seeing you, it's like this. So he makes the point that even though like a chakor bird, they're looking at each other, still she's thinking, where is he?
Because of his absorption.
This is a Prem Vichitya. So this is just like there's a certain type of manifestation, like a whirlpool, like a certain manifestation of Prem where they just can't experience that. They're so absorbed in the Prem for one another that the Prem of one another is the focus, and they can't even know if the lover is present in that sense. So it's just that the focus is so strong on the Prem itself that they don't even know that the beloved, who they are in love with, is present. So then, Kishoriji, what happens at this point is that the Sakhis also go into a certain type of Prem Sthiti, a state of Prem. But because they're looking at the Sakhis, it says here in Ne Manjari, देख सखी तहाँ सबे बुलानी एक रही मनो चित्र की बानी. So that these Sakhis who are looking at this wonderful vision of Shri Priya Pritam, who are so absorbed in each other that they call out each other's names even though they're looking at one another and are crying in separation, that the Sakhis also forget everything. And what happens to them is that one Sakhi, for example, she stands there just like she's a murti, like she's a statue or a deity, and she's just completely stambit, like a pillar, unmoving. Another Sakhi, ekanake nainani jaladarahi, mono premake jarna jarahi. Well, another Sakhi, tears are just coming from her eyes again and again, a kandit dara, a continuous stream, and this is just like a fountain is coming from her eyes. And then one Sakhi, she actually ek gari dara ati murjani, she completely faints and falls to the ground very strongly. She just completely just falls to the ground in an unconscious state. And then another Sakhi, Rehi gayi ek lata lapatani, that she embraces a lata and she just completely just she can't hold her own weight anymore. She's so much like she needs to hold on to something just to stand up. So Priya Pritam, because the one of the main points were, how is it that Priya Pritam care so much? Do they have any direct feelings and interactions with the Sakhis? Basically, the underlying question is, do they even care about the Sakhis? You know, this is the main thing. Like, are they just like some servants? Like, you do this nice seva for me, and that's good. You know, do they have love and care for them? So in this Lila and other Leelas, when the Sakhis are in this state, then Priya Lal, they also come and they have so much compassion in their eyes and in their hearts that their teardrops fall on the Sakhis, and this revives them, this wakes them up again. Or that they wake them up by gently, touching them with their hands or with their feet, and this wakes the Sakhis again. So they're actually very concerned about, oh, what has happened to these Sakhis now? So like this. So that's another question. I just want to see, how much have we... I can't remember how long we've actually been on. Do you want to do... We can do... How much time have you guys got? Do you want to do another 10 minutes? Or... Yeah?
I will have to go now because my daughter comes from school.
Okay.
So I say goodbye to her. Thanks so much for this satsanga.
ठीक है भाई. Give a Shirade to little Kishori.
Okay, I will give her.
Okay.
Beautiful. Shri
Harivansh. Oh.
Jai Ho, Jai.
Shri Radha Harivansh.
Radha Vallabh Lal.
Very beautiful. Okay, wait. Oh, okay. There was one question that Amanda also asked, which I'll quickly address too. And and this question is to do with Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad. So I just want to bring this up as well. This will be a very interesting one, which will interest others who will see this video as well. So a lot of people are confused about who is Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad. There are many different opinions of him, so I'll give my understanding of him. So the question was, you mentioned that Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur is connected to the Radha Vallabh Sampradaya. This was new for me, and in order to understand, I researched a little bit and found the following, and then you refer to Sri Jagadananda Das's articles on Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, particularly the Prabodhananda Saraswati from Banaras to Braj. And then you said, but still I am unable to understand the explanation why they consider it to be the same Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur as the one who is well known in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And secondly, how is this related then to Radha Rasudhanidhi, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas consider Prabodhananda Saraswati to be the author of that text, while others consider Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji to be the author. So this is a very detailed question. And also, Kalyani Didi, at some point, if you feel also you want to add something, because I think you also... Oh, no? Okay.
Oh, I am clear with this. Like, I can say, of course, there is some misconception or misunderstanding, or perhaps it might be not cleared out to many people about Prabodhan and Saraswati Pad as well. But what I have learned so far is my understanding is he was the same person. And of course, like nowadays also, we if we compare like nowadays as well, we mingle with different devotees and different sects also. One person is not limited to only, because everybody wants to learn more, and if there's preeti sambandh with between people, they like to share their thoughts, like what we are doing here as well. Similarly, in that time frame as well, I think Prabodhanand Saraswati, of course, has he learned a lot of things from his previous lifetime, like I mean, the early stages of life. But when he came to Vrindavan, and there might be a possibility that he met with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gauriya Sampradaya, and there is a possibility. But then when he came into the Nikunjwati Vrindavan, which we call the current Vrindavan now, which is Harivansh Mahaprabhu's Vrindavan, and after meeting with him, then of course he had a lot of respect for Harivansh Mahaprabhu as a guru as well. Not only that, in that time, my understanding is that we didn't have the printers and like printing out copies in in technical way. So a lot of things were handwritten, and people used to write things and memorize it. Not only memorizing, it's also an expression to show to please their guru by doing the copies, handwritten copies. So there is a possibility that Prabodhanand Saraswati Pad might have written some copies which was originally from Harivansh Mahaprabhu. And similarly, like some copies were written by other saints or Vaishnavas or Bhaktas as well. So those copies were spread out, and because it's completely Ras, people sometimes like to put, like, if I'm writing something in my notebook, if I have got a certain respect for my guru, I would write my guru's name on top of my copy, my notebook, okay? But then I will start writing whatever it is.
Whatever he said, yes.
So same sort of things has happened. My understanding is this is clear in my heart, in my mind, that of course I may not be able to explain it very clearly. Maybe Ravi, you can explain this better.
No problem.
But so many copies were made, handmade copies were there. But of course, when somebody, look, I have in my this lifetime, I have personally experienced so many things with devotees and different sects as well. We are still living in this material world. I'm going to maybe say very sharply and maybe brutally honestly, like people, we are jivas and we like to get recognition,
Mm-hmm.
and these kind of things do affect, like when something is really nectarious and people like to say this is mine,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
I belong to this part,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it is quite obvious any sect would like to claim.
So that'll
uh,
be
yeah,
I think
so
that is definitely a part of it as well. But there may be a that may be a reason why it's claimed. But I'll tell a little bit about first of all why a little bit about Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, his a little bit of his history, the main points, his influences, and also then briefly on the topic of who's the author and what is the evidences on both sides. So take about 10 minutes if that's okay, and then that should round it
mhm,
up. So when it comes to Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, first of all, he's one of the most controversial personalities that I know of historically because
yeah.
there's so many questions about so many parts of his life. Not every part, but so many parts of his life are debated, sometimes justifiably, sometimes not. So sometimes there's confusion on where was he before he started worshipping um, in as a Vaishnav. Some say he was Prakashananda Saraswati
Prakashananda
from Benares. Then there's also the claim that he was a Shri Vaishnav or similar to a Shri
from
Vaishnav in Ramanuj
South
Sampradaya.
India.
So
Yeah.
these things are there also. Um, that one I won't touch on too much because the more for me the most important is what happened with his life after he became Vaishnav. Was I only care about the Vaishnav Prabodhananda, not the Advaitin or the well Vaishnav also Sri Vaishnav, but I mean the Vrindavan bhav of his. I only care about his Vrindavan mood. So for me, generally the Gaudiyas think that he was just a Gaudiya Vaishnav, and either he was an Advaitin before Mayavadi, or he was a Sri Vaishnav. That's the general mood. There are some people who recognize that he spent time with Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. There are some other devotees as well, or they say that maybe they had respect for each other, or they sometimes even will say that Sri Harivansh was his junior and Prabodhananda was giving him Kripa. So this is another thing they say. So and then some Radha just think that he was a non-Vaishnav before, and then when he came to Vrindavan, then he got the Kripa of Sri Harivansh, then he became a Nitya Vihari, and he was never a Gaudiya before, he was just a Radha direct. I actually don't agree with any of those views directly. For me, it's very clear that previously he got the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, and it's very clear from Vrindavan Mahima Amrit and also Chaitanya Chandra Amrit, which is the same author to me. Some people say that no, it's different author, but I don't accept that. And once Gurudev Bhagwan, he also said the same point many years ago. He said that first Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad got the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he got the mercy of Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhu. And I don't just agree with him because it's Gurudev saying, that's also one type of Shraddha, but I also see that it makes sense. I'm not just saying it because he's saying it. I want to make
Mm.
that point. It's not just Guru Nishta, but it's actually because it makes sense. You know?
Sorry, just similarly, like in our lifetime also, we don't get mercy only from one guru. We might have gone through multiple gurus as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Same.
you have mentioned that you got mercy from Narayan Maharaj
Yes.
Swamiji as well, and now with our Guru Dev as well. So
Ah.
same with me also. So we have also received multiple, gurus' mercy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. And these then show in our expressions, the way we speak, the language, the terminology we use, you know. Otherwise, why
Mm.
would I be talking so much? Like, for example, how could I speak so much about the Gaudiya's Manjari Bhav if
Gaudias
I
as
didn't
well.
have that,
Yes,
you know? So this is
yes.
like, this is why I use the comparisons because it's
You
something
need to
I'm
have the
familiar with.
broader understanding, the broader love. You know.
Definitely the broader love, especially. So it's very clear that what really happened is that he got the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, then later he got the mercy and influence of Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. And generally, the Radhavallabhi's idea is that he took mantra from Sri Harivansh Mahaprabhuji. And for me, the proof is in his works itself. So in his works, he actually mentions, such as in Vrindavan Mahimamrit, you'll see his bhav is different to the Gaudiya mood. He has some Gaudiya things in there too, but he also has things which are Nitya Vihar. So where has the Nitya Vihar mood come from in his Vrindavan Mahimamrit? This is the main question. I'll quote some of them. Some of the points I can actually mention where this is.
Another point. Can I
Mhm.
add
Yeah,
into
yeah,
there?
no problem.
Uh, Generally, like his, I think Prabodhananda Saraswati Pada also wrote Harivansh Ashtak. So
Yes.
that is also generally when you are writing it for your guru.
Yeah.
Ashtaks are written for guru, somebody who considers somebody else as a guru,
Yeah.
not somebody as a
Junior.
student, you know,
Yeah, and
junior.
and in those he very much expresses those types of bhavs which are like someone who is a guru for him. So he actually expresses those types of bhavs. So some of the verses that show that he had some interest in Nitya Vihar is that in his Vrindavan Mahimamrit 12:2, so Shatak 12, verse number 2, he mentions just as separation is never possible for Sri Radha Madhav. So he says that na sambhavi viraha. So he makes the point that they can never be separated. And this is not a mood of the Gaudiyas because the Gaudiyas are very strong on them having
Vira.
physical separation. So that's one
Mm.
which already shows that, hey, what's going on here. Then there is other verses where he says similarly, he actually uses he actually uses the word Nitya Vihar for Vrindavan. In Vrindavan Mahima Amrit 6.5, he says Tattvam Nitya Vihara Mandiram. So he's using the term Nitya Vihar here for them. Again, this is not Gaudiya. And then he calls Shama Sham in Shatak 5, verse 48. He says Nitya Viharino, but they are Nitya Viharis. So he says that again. And so many other places he mentions all these different points, but they are Nitya Vihari. They are also never separating. A few other things which also lead to Nitya Vihar conclusions is that if you look at the works of Rupa Goswami, he mentions very much the ras between the rival sakhis, so Radha and Chandravali. And he even mentions in Ujjwal Neelamani that for him, for someone who doesn't relish or understand the rivalry or sees the necessity for the rivalry between the sakhis, the nayakas, then he doesn't consider them to be so rasik. So that's his opinion. We respect him, but we don't agree with him. So with his writings, you'll see there's so much rivalry between Chandravali and Radha. And when it comes to Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad's writings, he does not focus on that at all. He may mention Chandravali a little bit due to some Gaudiya influence, but it's not like there's no influence
Because
of that.
there's no like nothing like Chandravali in Nitya Vihar.
Exactly, yeah. She has no existence whatsoever. So even
Mm.
Jagannanda, he also picked this point out that this is closer to this is, if we look at Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, this is closer to Nitya Vihar. Then another point is that in the Upadesh Amrit of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, he gives a hierarchy of the different places in Vraj, and he says that Vrindavan is wonderful, but more than Vrindavan is Govardhan. Govardhan is more wonderful than Vrindavan, and then more wonderful than Govardhan is Radhakund. So Radhakund is given the most important place in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, and it's supreme even more than Vrindavan. Whereas when it comes to Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, he actually prefers the Leelas and the Ras Leela that takes place in Vrindavan at the Yamuna. And he also makes another interesting point. He says that for him, the Radha that manifests in Vrindavan is superior. For him, he says that Radha manifesting in Vrindavan is the complete form, and the Radha manifesting in the rest of Vraj is less complete. I actually think I have the verse here. Ah, yeah, here it is. He says, this is Shataka 6, verse 41. He says, in the Puranas, the transcendental words, Shri Radha resides in the forest named Vrindavan, shine with great splendor. So the words Shri Radha resides in the forest named Vrindavan. This is from the Puran. Then he says, from this statement, we may understand that Shri Radha's very wonderful, complete form does not appear even in Vraj. So he makes the point that it comes in Vrindavan, but not in the rest of Vraj. So he has the different type of Nishtha, whereas the Gaudiya Vaishnav will see that her Paripurn Sarup, her complete form, comes in the Radhakund. There were some other points I was going to mention as well, and let me see if I can remember. Now I can't remember some of the other points about this topic about the differences now, but the other points now about his close relationship with Sri Harivansh and his family, which a lot of people are not familiar with, is that he was actually very close with Sri Harivansh's family as well. So much so that Sri Harivansh's second son, Sri Krishna Chandra Goswami, he wrote many works in Sanskrit, and he also wrote songs in Braj Bhasha, which are very Sanskritized Braj Bhasha. So we see these works as well. So in one of his works called Karnananda, so the work's called Karnananda, which means nectar for the ears. So Amrit for the ears. He says that he wrote Karnananda, and then he also wrote a commentary to explain his own work, because he thought, oh, this is so complex, I better write a commentary to explain my own work as well. And so when Krishna Chandra Goswami wrote this, right at the end, he writes that I wrote Karnananda, I also wrote the commentary, but Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad helped me complete the commentary. So he actually mentions that he helped him complete it. So this is also like showing that there is such a relationship between them. And their relationship has actually been also noticed by Gaudiya Vaishnavas as well, that they had a similar mood. If you look at, there's one parampara, it's part of Gadadhar Pandit's parivar. So the parampara coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, Gadadhar Pandit. The temple's actually very close to Radha Vallabh Mandir. It's called Bhattaji Mandir. And this Bhattaji Mandir is also, the Thakurji there is also called Radha Raman, but they're obviously different from the famous Radha Raman. And it's very interesting because this temple, there was one of the six Goswamis, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He had a disciple called Gadadhar Bhatta Goswami. And Gadadhar Bhatta Goswami had two very prominent sons. One of the sons was named Yadupati Bhatt. So Yadupati Bhatt, and he was known as Rasikotansh. That's how he used to write his. Sometimes they have a name, but they write with a pen name. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also did like this in many works, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and so on. So what he does in this work, there's one Vani called Prem Pattanam. Prem Pattanam means the city of Prem, and in this work he actually says that, well, first of all, he mentions Shri Radha Sudanidhi in there, or Radha Sudanidhi. This is a Gaudiya Acharya, and it was only maybe 2 generations after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so very early on, maybe 3 max. And in the work, he says that he says Sri Harivansh Maha Anubhav Sri Harivansh Tadoktam, but in the words of the great personality Sri Harivansh, and then he quotes 2 verses from Radha Sudanidhi. So this shows that at the time of his writing this Gaudiya Grantha, even the Gaudiyas had no problem saying that Sudanidhi was written by Sri Harivansh, which is going to be my next topic. But it shows that earlier on an Acharya of a particular line is already saying that this is Sri Harivansh's writing, and this is one important proof. But he also groups them together. So when he talks about some of their mentalities towards bhajan, meaning that they don't like to follow too many rules and regulations, he actually quotes Prabodhananda and Sri Harivansh together. So it shows that they were aware that they were people of similar mentality and that they could be grouped together. So this is also one type of praman as well, some sort of evidence of their being together. And I just want to say one last thing about their whole connection together as well. There is one other granth called Nikunj Lila Rahasya Stava. So it's called Nikunj Lila Rahasya Stava, basically, which means the secrets or the mysteries of the Nikunj Lila. And in recent times, many Gaudiya Vaishnavas were thinking that this is Rupa Goswami's work. But there are many devotees who are doubting this point. They are saying that it just doesn't seem like it's Rupa Goswami's work. Jagadananda himself, Jagadananda Das, this Gaudiya scholar, says, I don't think it's Rupa Goswami's work. And also Advaita Das, another great translator of the Vani, he also says on his blog, he says, I think this work might have been written by maybe Harivansh or Hari Ram. He says like this. He says, I think it was maybe written by Sri Harivansh or Sri Hariram Vyasji. But actually, the real truth is that this work was written by Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad. And we in the Radhavallabh Sampradaya have known this since the beginning. And only recently the Gaudiyas were mainly thinking it was Rupa Goswami's work. But it does not appear in any of the lists of his works, which were written by Rupa Goswami's nephew, Jiva Goswami. He never mentions this work in his list. And the fact that Advaita Das and others think it may have been written by Sri Harivansh or Sri Hariram Vyasji, the disciple of Sri Harivansh, also shows that this Granth has Nitya Vihar flavors. So that's why they're doubting that this can't be Rupa Goswami's work, because it has too much Nitya Vihar flavor. So maybe it was written by them. But actually, it was written by Prabodhananda. We have some old manuscripts which prove this. And this also shows again that Prabodhananda is still speaking on Nitya Vihar as well. So these are some of the points. You have any questions on that, or any challenges? It's good, also important to challenge sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's good. All good.
Oh, good.
I might come back to that later on, because now I will need some time
It's too much.
Yeah, because also I remember when I was reading Radha Sudanidhi, then I would find many passages where I thought like, because someone told me to read it, and I knew that his bhav is Nitya Vihar. He's relishing that kind of bhav,
Yes.
So then I said but actually there are few verses that seem to me like a little bit contradictory to that kind of ras or bhav.
I think because of the translation, might be not.
Maybe, but so now I'm interested, to go back to those verses. To see, what was it, because I cannot remember, but I will look, and maybe then I will come back with those verses. Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely discuss that.
I still couldn't read, I wanted to go through all the articles on Jagannatha Das blogspot.
Okay.
I have only read one. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, really.
Some of the things he said, I discussed with him later, and he also admitted that he also wrote some things which are definitely wrong in there by mistake, because he was ignorant at the time. Some of the things he wrote about Sri Harivansh, quite a few very important things he wrote which are very wrong, like completely wrong, which would change his conclusion as well. But he said, "Oh, what to do? I wrote this such a long time ago, and now because he actually did not read. One thing he didn't read when he discussed both Sri Harivansh's life and Bhav, but also who's the author, Radha Sudanidhi. He did not read the writings of our great grandfather Guru, Sri Kishori Sharan Aliji Maharaj. And Aliji Maharaj has written, I think, like 60 to 70 pages on this topic in Hindi, which I have very carefully studied along with others, and also developed my own inspirations and other arguments. And so he actually did not read Kishori Sharan Aliji Maharaj's when he wrote that work. And I thought if he did, he would never have made some of the points he made in there. So definitely read it. And then when you read that, then I'll tell you more. And then like this, then you'll see what's best. Tika? Because I know it's been a long meeting. We're actually here for a while. Do you wanna hear more of Radha Sudan? Do you have time to hear about the authorship of Radha Sudanidhi, or would you like another session for that? Otherwise, maybe it's long.
Yeah, I definitely would prefer another session because it's quite late and I need to get up really early in the morning.
Oh, yeah, I think it's 11 o'clock, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. TK. Well, I hope it was good and enlightening. So, thanks for coming, both of you, and Dimi and G.
I want to apologize that I was late.
It's okay.
It's okay.
For me, it's okay.
No problem. It's okay. Anytime, because these are all recorded, so even if these don't go public, they will be definitely shared amongst the participants and the group. So even if you come late or early, no problem. It's fine.
Thank you so much.
Okay. ठीक है जय जय श्री हरिवंश. Definitely don't miss next session. It's going to be Shringar Sabha Mandal, and it's going to be extremely beautiful. Less of the history and things. It's going to be just more of us. So definitely don't miss that.
And when is that?
I think Sunday. Sunday we'll work out a time.
Okay.
ठीक है. Okay. Jai Jai Shri Harivansh.
Okay. Thank you so much again for this beautiful discussion session.
No problem. Shri Harivansh. Radhe Shyam.
Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shri Harivansh.